last week.
You did a good job.
Thank you, Harlan. My name's Steve. I don't really have an object. Some people said make my beard the object.
Is that a Jewish beard?
No, it's an Italian beard.
Okay.
I guess, like a couple other people said, my object will be myself. It's hard to explain why I occupy because sometimes I'm not sure exactly why. It's it changes. It goes up and it goes down and it goes here and it goes over there. And I don't know, maybe that's just because there's so many reasons to do it. But I like once again, like some other people said, starting at a young age, I always had that feeling shit's not right in the world. Couldn't always quite articulate what it was that was the problem. Got a little bit older and started getting interested in trying to get involved in things, but really just acted like a worthless piece of garbage. I didn't use the gifts given to me, and I didn't try hard enough, and I just cared about having fun. That went on for quite a while. Went to school, and meanwhile, all this time, I started developing a drug problem, which kind of prevented me from getting anything good done during that time. Went to school, could have went and gotten a went to school for a profession that could have gotten me a high-paying job. Said, no, I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'm going to waste a bunch of money on going to school and be in debt for it later, but I'm going to go for something I believe in. Graduated. Meanwhile, the whole time I'm in school, was dealing with a pretty bad drug addiction. Got out, got a decent-paying job, eventually was arrested, lost my job, spent 2 years just sitting in my grandmother's basement, not doing much of anything, still wanting to get involved with things, but not really knowing how, and just being generally angry at everything. And then as I started seeing things start to pop up, in the lead up to the occupation on Wall Street, I became interested in that, and I thought, but what, it's never going to work. It's the same reason why I never got involved. It's it's small, like hats off to the people who do it, but it's not. It's going to go a week tops. And then it became clear that not only was there something going on there, but everywhere. And this was after having watched things happening, in the Middle East, in various areas of the world, and realizing, all right, this is a common thread running through everybody. People are pissed off, they've had enough, and people can articulate these ideas about what is wrong. Maybe how to change it's a little harder to do sometimes, but I think one of the reasons I do occupy is by being here and meeting all these people. There's an exchange of ideas that eventually brings us closer to figuring out what those answers are. So I saw that, became very interested, probably was sleeping like 20 hours a day, watching the live stream from New York and saying, where the hell's the Pittsburgh one? And then I realized, oh, wait, there is going to be a Pittsburgh one. So got involved trying to help with that, and have been here ever since. And now, as far as why I'm here now, sometimes I'm here for myself. Sometimes I'm here for people who can't be here doing the same thing. And sometimes I'm here for the people that I met here that I really care about now. But all the time, it's some combination of all those things. And that's what keeps me going, is the faith that by trying to help each other here and learn from each other here, we can then turn that into something else. And I guess that's why I occupy.
All right, pass. Come on, T-Bone.
T-Bone.
Now, we can come back to you if you want. My name's Patrick. I did bring an object. We're not going to get to it quite yet. So, the evolution of my politics, my organizing background is a little bit different. A lot of people have kind of like an aha moment that created the situation, their political philosophy, their situation, and I didn't really have one of those. I was a college kid with, I have an interesting story because I was a college kid with too much privilege. I went to an Ivy League school in upstate New York, largely because my dad did. But I got involved in activism, and that's how that happened is really that interesting of a story. But I had confusing politics and confusing ideas, and initially I thought I worked in some Democratic Party politic campaigns very early on, and had kind of weird ideas about like how the world worked and how change worked, and I just got involved in like whatever I could. I went to the first major protest I went to was the free trade area of the Americas protests in Miami, Florida, and that was kind of a interesting turning point in North American protest history because which has nothing to do with my object. We're going to go somewhere else before we get to the object. So hold on tight. An interesting point in North American protest history because it was one of the first times we've seen that level of militarization in an American city during a protest. There were armed personnel carriers on the streets. There were 8,000 police officers with riot gear. There were helicopters, overhead, and after the big AFL-CIO permitted march, the Miami police revoked our permit, and the police moved in on us. They started shooting tear gas and rubber bullets, and I started running. And as I was running, I pulled out my cell phone, and I dialed 911. What do you dial when somebody's chasing you? And then I realized, well, I can't call the police, I can't call the state, because that's actually the problem. That's what's not going on here. And that was kind of this pivotal point in my political evolution, the way I thought about the world, the way I thought about what was possible with the world the way it was. So fast forward a couple of years, those of you who know me, aside from organizing storytelling events, I'm not really a touchy-feely person. I'm kind of task-oriented. I'm very, let's get shit done. And I was much more so when I was younger. And I was very much about let's get the meeting done. I couldn't handle the consensus process because it took too much damn time. Let's get shit done. And I had an opportunity to work on this forest defense campaign. And people who work in the environmental justice movement, it's working in the labor movement. It's different than the labor movement. Especially if when we're thinking about the way things get done, the way we think about organizing. And I was working on this forest defense campaign, and I was thinking of it as a power-based campaign. There's a target, there's us, we're trying to move the target, and there's all this stuff that's happening around me. We were setting up tents in the woods. Seem familiar? We were, actually built, because we had to maintain an occupation in the woods. We had to deal with stuff that often gets marginalized. We had to deal with feeding each other. We had to deal with cleaning up. We had to deal with what happens when somebody comes back drunk at night. We had to deal with actually building a society where we not only organize protests, but we actually interact with each other and we build something. And one of the things that we did, and this is hanging on the wall at my house, is we had an art show. And all you know how I feel about art. But we had an art show in the woods, and I thought it was a really stupid idea. I thought it was a terrible, terrible idea. It was detracting from what we needed to be doing. But it was, when the art show happened, it was amazing to take this piece of woods that really was being torn down because nobody cared about it. It was an art show in the woods, and seeing people come together in the space and have the space actually start to mean something, not only ecologically but about the relationships that were being built there and what was happening. And that really, there are a lot of things that happened in that project that really transformed the way that I'm thinking about things. Made me, you wouldn't believe it, but much more patient than I was before. So my object is one of the posters, one of the prints from that art show, and this is the first movement that I've been a part of in a really long time, where we haven't just worried about who's going to write the flyer, who's going to write the communiques, who's going to do the messaging. We've had to worry about how we're going to work together, how we're going to take care of each other, how we're going to interact together. And that's one of the things I'm so excited about with the Occupy movement, and that's why I'm participating in this the way that I am.